Across the world, every culture whispers about spirits. The Greeks spoke of diamonds. Europeans told of fairies, goblins, and specters. In Arabia, long before Islam, tribes poured offerings at lonely rocks and trees, hoping to appease hidden forces they believed dwelled there. But in Islam, these beings are not left vague or shadowy. The Qur'an names them directly, al-Jinn. Created from smokeless fire, they live parallel to us, unseen but real, accountable before God just like humanity. Their story is not just myth or superstition, it is revelation, explained by the Qur'an and the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Today we're diving deep. What are the Jinn according to our sources? What can they do, and what are their limits? Where do our worlds meet, and what dangers lie in crossing that line? What practical protections were given to us? And finally, how do we separate myth and exaggeration from truth? 1. What are Jinn? The Qur'an tells us directly, He created Jinn from smokeless fire, 55:15. Unlike angels who never disobey, Jinn share something with us. They have free will. They can believe or reject, worship or rebel. The Qur'an even records their voices. In Surah Al-Jinn, a group listens to the Prophet recite, and they return to their people saying, "We have heard a wondrous Qur'an guiding to right conduct, so we believed in it." 72:1-2. This is striking. Not only do they exist, they are addressed by revelation itself. Like humans, they form communities. They marry, they have offspring, they live and they die. Some fly, some walk the earth, some haunt desolate places. They are nations in their own right, hidden from our sight, but not beyond our Creator's command. And then there's Iblis. Though often mistaken as a fallen angel, the Qur'an clarifies, he was one of the Jinn, and he rebelled against the command of his Lord, 1850. His story is not about a divine rival, but about arrogance, refusing to bow to Adam, envying humanity, and vowing to lead us astray until the day of resurrection. 2. What they can and can't do. The powers of the Jinn are real, but they have limits. What they can do: speed and strength. The Qur'an recounts how a mighty Jinn offered to transport the throne of the Queen of Sheba across kingdoms before Suleiman even rose from his council, 27:39. Their speed and ability to manipulate the physical world is unmatched by humans. Shape-shifting. They can appear as animals, snakes, dogs, or even in human-like forms. Whispers and temptation. The Qur'an calls Iblis and his troops Waswas al-Khannas, the whisperer who withdraws, 114:4. Their greatest weapon is not raw power but suggestion, planting doubt, fear, or desire in the heart. Partial access to the heavens. Before the Prophet's mission, some Jinn would steal fragments of information from the skies, passing them to fortune tellers. But with revelation, the heavens were guarded. And we used to sit there in positions to hear, but whoever listens now finds a flame lying in wait, 72:9. What they cannot do: they do not know the unseen. The Qur'an exposes this in the story of Suleiman. When he died leaning on his staff, the Jinn continued to labor in construction, unaware of his death until the staff collapsed. Their ignorance was made plain, 34:14. They cannot impersonate the Prophet ﷺ in dreams. His likeness is protected. If you see him in a dream, it is true. They cannot override God's decree. They act only within the limits set by their Creator. Their danger lies not in infinite power, but in subtle influence, in moving faster and striking where humans are weakest. 3. Human-Jinn boundaries. This is where revelation becomes practical. The Prophet ﷺ warned us about spaces where their presence is heavy, deserts and ruins where solitude and emptiness invite them, graveyards which they frequent, bathrooms which require us to enter with God's name, marketplaces described as the battleground of Shaitan, where greed and distraction flow. Times matter too. At nightfall, especially at sunset, the Prophet advised us to keep children indoors, for the Shaitan scatter at that hour. As for direct human-jinn contact, Islam forbids seeking them out. The Qur'an criticizes those who sought refuge in them, saying it only increased harm, 72:6. Soothsayers and magicians may seem to access hidden power, but in reality they trade in lies supported by rebellious jinn. The boundary is for our protection. Crossing it through obsession, summoning, or partnership rarely ends in control. It ends in exploitation. These beings are not meant to be allies. They are a separate creation, accountable for their own lives. 4. Daily protections. Despite their presence, the guidance given to us is simple and empowering. Invocation of God's name. The Prophet ﷺ taught that saying Bismillah before entering your home denies shaitan entry. Saying it before eating denies him your food. Nightly precautions. Close doors, cover utensils, and extinguish flames at night. These are small actions with spiritual weight. Remembrance and prayer. Recite the morning and evening adhkar. Say Ayat al-Kur'an before sleeping. Repeat the dua taught for entering the toilet. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from male and female devils. Discipline. Straighten your rows in prayer because gaps are places shaitan seeks to enter. Guard your tongue, for he thrives in haste, anger, and carelessness. In Ramadan, the most rebellious among them are chained. This is why the month feels spiritually lighter, though temptation never disappears entirely. These protections are not elaborate rituals. They are woven into daily life. Every meal, every nightfall, every prayer becomes a shield. 5. Myths versus sources. Here's where things get murky. In folklore, jinn are portrayed as wish granters, treasure guardians, or generational curses. Modern horror turns them into cinematic demons, but Revelation paints a different, more sober picture. The Qur'an and Sunna strip away the exaggeration. Jinn are real, but not gods. They can harm, but only with permission. They can tempt, but not compel. They can mislead, but only if we open the door. The real danger is not them, it's our response. Fear can make us weak. Obsession can make us stray. Charms, talismans, and forbidden practices invite their interference, when in reality the Prophet ﷺ gave us clear, simple habits that are more powerful than any amulet. To fear the jinn excessively is to give them more power than they have. To ignore them entirely is to forget the guidance given to us. The balance lies in awareness without obsession, discipline without paranoia. In the end, the story of the jinn is not just about them, it's about us. How do we handle whispers? How do we guard our hearts? How do we live with awareness of an unseen world without being consumed by it? The Qur'an reminds us that both humans and jinn were created for the same purpose. I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me. 51:56. Their destiny and ours is the same: judgment, paradise, or hell. The unseen is real. The jinn are real. But protection does not come from fear, or from charms, or from alliances. It comes from remembering the one who created both them and us. So when you hear their name, don't think only of horror stories or superstition. Think of the bigger picture, that life is layered, that the world is more than what we see, and that the greatest weapon we hold is remembrance of God. Because the true battle is not against shadows in the dark. The true battle is against the whisper in our own hearts.